All right, we have a new tradition. We start with that every year from now on. That was amazing. Thank you all very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Russ Calloway, United States Air Force retired.
Master Sergeant Nate Todd, United States Air Force retired. The Owen Valley High School Air Force Junior ROTC cadets and I would like to welcome you to our Veterans Day ceremony. Our goal today is to honor those men and women, past and present, who have served our nation's military. We are grateful for all veterans in attendance today and will be honoring them during our ceremony. And apologies for this setting, not quite the same as the gym, a little more intimate, right? I actually kind of enjoyed this today, but gym's under construction, and so we'll still maintain our mission though, and we're gonna meet it, recognizing you all on Veterans Day. As we begin this morning, I'd like to personally say thanks to Superintendent Klein and Principal Boltinghouse for allowing us to use part of the school day to have this ceremony. Additionally, we are honored to have the participation of the Owen Valley High School Choir under the direction of Dr. Matthew Latta, as well as the Owen Valley High School Band under the direction of Mr. Dylan Kramer. Another round of applause. That was amazing. All right, students, during our ceremony, you will be directed to stand, and I know that you will do so quietly and respectfully. I know that everyone will be on their best behavior to pay respects to these veterans here today that have sacrificed so much for our great nation. All right, I would now like to introduce our narrator for today's ceremony, Cadet First Lieutenant Brock Fry.
Please rise for the presentation of the colors and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and our national anthem. Our color guard team is led by Cadet Master Sergeant Haley Flick. Present the colors.
Carry the colors. Team, forward march. Colors. Present colors.
Please follow along while we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the national anthem and continue to stand until the departure of the color guard team.
Carry colors. Mark time.
Please take your seats. Thank you, color guard, band, and choir for setting the stage for our ceremony. I would now like to read the opening and closing statements of President Donald J. Trump's President Proclamation. The story of America is written in courage, honor, and dedication service of our veterans. Through their sacrifice the fires of freedom burn brightly, our republic secured, and our way of life made possible for nearly 250 years. Their undying spirit has carried our nation through every trial and triumph, enduring that liberty endures for all the time. This Veterans Day, we show our gratitude and recommit to honor their service, uphold their legacy, and give every veteran the loyalty, respect, and supports they have earned and so dearly deserve. Our nation remains great because of those who have served honorably in uniform and committed their lives to defending our families, our freedom, and American values. Today, we extend our deepest gratitude to our soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guard, and Guardians for their sacrifice. And we thank the families who share the burden of their service. Under my leadership, our nation will always uphold the legacy of our veterans by keeping America strong, proud, and free. And as president, I will always have their back. In respectful recognition and contributions, our service members have made to advance peace and freedom around the world. The Congress has provided that November 11th of each year shall be set aside as a legal public holiday to honor our nation's veterans. Now therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2025 as Veterans Day. I encourage all Americans to reflect on the courage and sacrifice of our veterans through ceremonies and private thoughts and prayers of gratitude. I call upon federal, state, and local offices to display the flag of the United States and to participate in patriotic activities in such communities. At this time, I'd like to invite Cadet Major Kaylee Patton to help us recognize our veterans attending today.
A day like this, or a day like today, wouldn't be possible without our veteran leaders. And we are honored to have several local organizations that advocate for our veterans. We would like to recognize Mr. Mitchell Muse, the current American Legion Post 285 commander. Also, we'd like to recognize Mr. Michael Barger, VFW Post 1405 commander, and Mr. Joe Goldman, the Veteran Service Officer for Owen County, for their tireless support of veterans. It is an honor for us to have so many veterans attending from our various branches of service. To help recognize them, our band is going to play their service medley while their choir sings along. The order of the songs is Marine Corps, Army, Coast Guard, Air Force, and the Navy. Veterans are encouraged to stand when their medley is played.
ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our guest speaker for today's program, Lieutenant Colonel Russell Callaway, United States Air Force retired.
All right, don't act so disappointed. All right, so we had a great speaker lined up and everything. Hold on, let me get this back up there. This is our live stream feed and it fell off. But thanks to the government shutdown, Secretary of War made an announcement that he could not travel. So you get me, and it's a last minute, so my apologies. He was amazing. 3 combat tours in Iraq as an Army security police officer, 3 bronze medals, just a phenomenal career. 2002 graduate of Owen Valley High School, Lieutenant Colonel Curtis Persinger. Still holds the record, I think, 3,200 and 800 meter run, as well as a state finalist in the 800 or 3,200 and cross country. So try not to act so disappointed. You know, you guys get to see me every day. Sorry about that, but you throw me in here last minute. But thanks again. Appreciate everyone here in attendance. What I'd like to start with, right, is veterans, thank you so much for your sacrifice, right, at the altar of freedom. They've sacrificed so much in their lives. They've missed so many different things, and this is just a small token for us to be able to repay them. Right? Welcome to all the students in attendance, those here and on the live stream. I absolutely love teaching here at Owen Valley High School. You all are amazing, seriously. You inspire me every day to be a better mentor, teacher, instructor. Just by showing up to school, there's a lot of obstacles that you have to overcome. And it's honestly a minor miracle some of you even make it here to school and then achieve like you do. So this is my get-to job. I get to talk about this, my get-to job, not got-to job. I get to do this cool job. I'm retired. I don't have to do this job, right? I get to hang out with you cool people on a daily basis, and again, you inspire me to be a better person, all right? So a little bit about myself. I am a simple country boy from Indiana. I grew up in a little town called Brookston. 1,800 people in the town. I had 67 in my graduating class. We didn't have a stoplight. I think there's one now, right? But so similar to some of the towns in the area, right? So I graduated from Frontier High School, and at the age of 19, I was smart enough to marry my high school sweetheart that I met in kindergarten. We've been married 34 years now. We have 6 grandkids, all boys. Thank goodness we've got a granddaughter on the way. I graduated from Purdue University, yes, that great school to the north. The cradle of astronauts, right? 28 astronauts have graduated from Purdue University. I mean, that's way cooler than 5 or 6 national championships in basketball, I think, but you know, hey, that's just me. So I taught high school, believe it or not, before I joined the Air Force and coached varsity football as defensive coordinator for 5 years. I joined in 1998, and we'll get into why I joined a little bit later, but I served for 22 years with assignments in Florida, South Korea, Germany, Texas, New Mexico, Illinois, Indiana. I did get a chance to deploy to Afghanistan, but no, everyone in the Air Force does not fly. I did not fly. Right? It's about 10% of the actual Air Force that fly. I was support. Okay. RINF, for those folks that have served before, I can't say that acronym, actually spell it out or say it, so might get me in a little bit of trouble. But I actually did get a ride in an F-16 once, and I've told the cadets this story. It was not pretty. It was not good. I went through 8 barf bags. What happens is in an F-16, it's not the G-forces that get you, right? If you've watched Top Gun, Maverick, that stuff, that's an F-14, F-18, but similar to an F-16, right? You wear a G-suit that squeezes you when you get a lot of G's to keep you from passing out because all the blood pools into your feet. Had no problem with that, could handle the G's. It was the negative G's. Went up when you took off, straight up for about a mile, and then rolled over after hitting the afterburners and did that. If you've been on a roller coaster and it's the world's like best roller coaster, times that by about 1 million, right? So it was difficult. But I tell you what, I would do it all over again. Just one of those experiences that you get to do in the Air Force that typically you don't get to do, right? Okay, so who here knows the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day? Please raise your hand. Students, does anybody know the difference? Right, Veterans Day was actually Armistice Day first, back after World War I. In 1954, it was changed to Veterans Day. It's always occurred on November 11th, right? And it's just to, not just, but it's to thank the men and women that have served our country. Memorial Day, on the other hand, is meant to recognize those comrades in arms that have given their ultimate life, right, the ultimate sacrifice, given their life for their country. So that's the difference between the two. So that's your education lesson for today as a teacher, all right? But I want to start my talk actually by issuing you all a challenge. I want you to live a life worthy of these veterans' sacrifice, right? Live a life worthy of their sacrifice. Now, what do I mean by that? I guarantee you that all of these folks sitting before you have sacrificed a lot in the service of their country, even spouses. I'll tell you, when I was gone, it seemed like all the crazy stuff happened when I was deployed or somewhere else, and my wife had to deal with it, right? 4, 5, 6 crazy kids running around the house. But they've all sacrificed, right? And I can tell you, basic training is difficult. It's not easy, right? And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But for me, I definitely spent 22 years in, and there were definitely some sacrifices, right, that I had to make. I missed my daughter being born. She was 2 months old before I got to see her, right? I'm not the only one. I've missed several birthdays, all kinds of stuff, right? These folks have missed several things as well that they can tell you about. But it's not only just things that you miss date-wise, right, important events. Some people actually, give life and limb for the country, the ultimate sacrifice. I was stationed in San Antonio, Texas, and the Center for the Intrepid is there. Center for the Intrepid is where they go military who were wounded at the time in Iraq or Afghanistan for severe burns, loss of limb, or traumatic brain injury. And I was having a rough day. I like to throw the weights around a little bit, as some of you see me in the weight room here. And I'm kind of whining in the weight room, and all of a sudden I look over. And I'm not kidding you, there's a guy that's burnt, and when you see the burn, you know it. And he was missing his hand. And he had a claw, and he's repping out bench press, right? Okay, suck it up, buttercup. Quit being a baby, let's get busy, all right? So just some of the sacrifices, right, that these men and women have made, and they're truly inspirational. So how do you live a life worthy of their sacrifice, right? What it means is it means to work hard and become a productive member of society, a citizen of good character. And how do you accomplish this? I'm going to give you 3 ways to do it, right, to rise to that challenge. 1, step outside that comfort zone and do things that challenge you, that make you extremely uncomfortable, right? If you hate speaking in public, take a speech class. If you hate working out, take advanced PE. If you hate being around people, join a club, right, with your church or school, somewhere that makes you be around people. Can you imagine how uncomfortable these folks were going to basic training? Physically, mentally, completely, emotionally exhausted over several weeks, leaving your family. First time I left my family ever, and it was extremely difficult. But the goal is to make you a better soldier, sailor, airman, marine, coastie, guardian. I think I hit them all, right? And you definitely leave a better person, but it's definitely not a whole heck of a lot of fun. You've got to step outside that comfort zone and make that decision, make that challenge, rise to it. I was 27 years old when I joined. I had 1 more year. I'd always thought before I had to get a waiver, it couldn't be over 28. And I decided to do it, but I left my family, like I said, for 13 weeks. And my daughter was born while I was going through my basic training. So definitely forced me to step outside my comfort zone. But I'll tell you what, I'm a much better person, a much better officer in the Air Force, a much better husband, right? And teacher, I think, instructor, by joining the Air Force. 2, set high standards and work towards them. I told this story to the cadets one time. I took over squadron command, 500 people in the squadron, $32 million budget. And we're doing our physical fitness one morning. And the test consists of just push-ups, sit-ups, and a run, right? Mile run, it's 1.5 miles actually on active duty. It's changed a little bit. We mimic the Army a little more now. Seems like the Air Force always tries to do that. But we've always had some sort of physical fitness test. I asked the airmen, all right, this is a rhetorical question. Does everybody know what rhetorical means? It means don't answer, right? But I asked them, I said, who here knows the minimums required to pass the fitness test? And a whole bunch of hands went up. I'm like, oh, no. Wrong answer. First of all, it was rhetorical. You weren't supposed to raise your hands. You were just supposed to think about it. But you all are focusing on the wrong things. I personally can't tell you what the minimums are for the physical fitness test. I can tell you what the maximums are. I can tell you what I need to get the best score there is, but I can't tell you what the minimums are. It's the same way with your grades, right? Don't sit there and look at what's the minimum thing I need to pass. Right? Look at what's the maximum thing I need to do to get an A. Then what happens if you come up a little bit short? You're still going to pass the class. You're still going to do okay. I had an airman I actually had to kick out of the military because that was his idea. I'm going to focus on the minimums. Well, we had the remnants of a hurricane come through. It was really windy, but it was just not quite enough wind to cancel the physical fitness test, and he failed. And it's all because he focused on the minimums and not the maximums. All right, lastly, dang it, man, just be a good person. It's not that hard. When you guys come up and see me to get snacks, Master Sergeant and I, a lot of you will tell you, hey, there's no cost. Just be a good person today, right? So I'm a firm believer in positive vibes. I talk about it with the class. Everybody's got this glass full of emotions, right? You can be that person that either takes from the emotions or you add to that glass of emotions, right, with positive vibes. Don't be that person, they're walking down the hall and they avoid you like the plague. In other words, they try to go the opposite direction because you've got a black cloud over your head, right? You're that negative person that no one wants to talk to because all you do is say something negative. Man, be positive. And it's just the simple little things that you do, right? Small acts of kindness that make a difference. Someone gets their hair done. Not me, of course, but someone gets their hair done. Hey, it looks nice. I like that color of your hair. Nice shirt, cool shirt. Hey, let me get that door for you. Can I help you carry that package? It's small little things like that that will make you a better person, right? And just make the world a better place. Okay, so enough preaching to you today. I just want to remind you, right, that challenge. Try to live a life worthy of their sacrifice. It'll make the world a much better place, and it'll make your life a whole heck of a lot better. So, lastly, there's one more thing. It just came out last night. I want to say congratulations to Spencer Owen Community Schools. We were just named a Purple Star School, third time in 5 years, I think. It's been the past 2 years. What that is a Purple Star School for the state of Indiana in recognition of commitment, celebration, and support to service members, veterans, and families connected to service members. All right, so our Community School Corporation did that. Let's give everybody a hand, right? Round of applause. Great job. So again, veterans, thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for showing up today. I'm so glad this wasn't yesterday, but anyways, please keep these veterans, as well as our country's veterans, current military members, and their families in your thoughts and prayers. This concludes today's ceremony, and you are, students, okay to report back to your second period class. Thank you. Hey, cadets, sorry to yell. Cadets, stick around. If you're a JROTC cadet, stick around, please. We're going to do a photo. Actually,